Alright, time for a green Silverado video. Back whenever I was talking about the leak underneath here, I thought it was just a little minor leak. I felt it right here, but I pulled this thing back and all the water was going underneath the carpet and soaking into this pad. I've got it dry, but it was pouring in there. It was so bad that it ran down here and filled this up. And I was blaming the top of the door seal for that, because I mean I've got to do something here and prevent rust before I put the trim piece back on it. But it was just saturated, and I was surprised by that. I looked up underneath there and I thought about taking that off, but I got my GM service manual out, and you've got to disassemble the dash, all your ducting, everything's got to come off to pull this off. And you got your heater core in there, and I'm not going to do it right now. I'm going to show you how I fixed it, but I'm not going to do that right now because I've got to when I do my dash, I may look and see and do it then. But the door seals all worked out real good, putting that cocking rod back in there, so that worked out real good. Let me show you how I fixed it. Let me throw a little quick one in. These striker pins, they get wore out, but the hole's not big enough that you can adjust it forward and back. So what I do is I take this off, and you got to be careful. The backing plate that this bolts to, GM didn't put anything in there to hold it in place. So you got to get the trim piece off and get your hand behind there. I may put me some glue or something the next time I have to do it to hold it in place. But what I do is I take a step bit and I open this hole up a little bit and I push it a little bit further back. This one's got plenty of room in the back, but I push it back and get it where the door seals pull tighter, and it worked good, and it still will latch just fine right here. It's not going to hurt it. I'd keep these lubed up. I got to clean these with brake clean and lube it up, but that pulls your door seal a lot tighter. The only place I haven't done, my door is locked. There's a latch up here where this also latches up top. I'm going to pull that off, and if the holes up top aren't slotted, I'm going to slot them and push that bracket back just a little bit so it can pull this door seal a little bit tighter up top. I don't like leaks, and I'm not going to take a chance. All right, another little quickie. You can see where I put that. Hopefully this will focus. You can see where I put that sealant in the top of it. So and I did smash it out a little bit here because we've got to work up top here and sand. I can trim that off nice and even, but if you leave your tape on like I did right in here, you can barely see that there's any kind of sealant in there, and that did stop it from leaking. And that's a temporary. When we paint this thing, we're going to do a full body paint. We're going to take everything off, pop the windows out, front windshield, the rear, and get that. I want to take care of the channel that's underneath here that holds the glass in place. Since it was leaking a little bit, I imagine I've got some rust lurking in here. So we'll pull the window out and sand it, prime it, and then there's a window channel primer that you put on where your seals stick better. So we'll do that and get it all painted. We're going to keep this one. It's in such good shape. It deserves a paint job, but like I said, this paint job's a little bit on the back burner. All right, I pulled the cowling off from my windshield wipers, and that was good. There was a little bit of debris and stuff in there, and I got to paint my wiper arms, my door handles, and my mirrors. So I'm gonna paint that all at one time. But with it leaking so bad, and I can't get that out right now. I took some of this. I was at Walmart, and there was a gal that had a whole cart full of this stuff where they're unpacking TVs, and this is a nice thick foam. I use it for all kinds of stuff. What I did is I took a 8 by 4 inch piece. I cut it where I could get it inside here, and I put that 3M weather stripping adhesive on it, and I got it in place, and I put that on there just to hold it in place. And then on all the cracks on the edges, I took RTV and sealed it up. Now I could still get air into the truck because the bottom down here where it drains is open, so that's not going to be a problem. Yeah, you can on this one on me. That's okay. I know that's a quickie, cheapy fix, but that'll work until I tear out the dash, because I am going to do that. But right now I'm not, and then I can pull this back out where it's normal. But the way it is now, it stopped that leak dead. There's nothing that goes down there anymore, and it is a little bit higher, so the water will drain back over on that other side. My windshield wiper mechanisms, I've got to clean where they'll go together, and I've got to put some grease or some kind of lubricant on them to keep them moving real nice. I may pull these out and get where I can lower that down and get to the joints, but I'm going to clean those real good and grease them up. While you got it off, you know, it's a classic case while you're there. These aren't the easiest things to take off. There's a series of 4 holes, and they're sunk about that far into that trim piece. You're going to have to spray some cleaner into the hole. Here's where one of them sits right here. You're going to have to spray some cleaner in them holes, and then take your garden hose and blast that thing out with water, and then take compressed air, because those screws will have about 1/4 inch of dirt and stuff on it, and they're of real small Phillips, so it's easy to strip out them Phillips screws. So if you're going to take this thing apart, do that, and clean them out real good, because it's impossible to get off without it. Because those 4 screws, you can't get this thing off. So, all right. All right, on my tailgate handle, it turns out it's good. There's a rod that goes from each side and hooks onto this. Well, they got a little special pin or clip that holds it on. Well, it fell off. That's why it wasn't opening. So I'm going to take the bolts out of the back of this, bring it out a little bit, go ahead, and I'm going to buy, I got an order for LMC. I'm going to buy a bunch of them extra clips, because all my vehicles have it. So this one, all I've got to do is just sand this a little bit and paint it flat black. So that's one less of these that I got to buy, thank God. I didn't want to have to buy 3 of them. All right, that's another little thing. All right, I did replace the vehicle speed sensor. It wasn't that. All my gauges on this side work fine. This thing, the speedometer is about 30 miles an hour off, and the tach is off by about 2,000 RPMs. I think with so much humidity in here and all the rattling that caused on there, I'd be willing to bet there's probably a plug for this stuff and some stuff over here, and there's probably a plug is for this and all that stuff over here. So I've got to pull this pod out, and it's easy. These are really easy to get out. And I'm going to take it off. I'm going to clean everything. And while I got it off, I'm going to adjust my temperature, because it stays down at that bottom 25% part. So you could pull these needles off. What you do is you let it get hot, you stick your piece of tape on there, mark it where it's sitting now, and then you rotate it up to where it should be sitting, and then you push that back on. So that'll be a lot more accurate and representative of what the temperature is. But all my OBSs are like that. All 4 of them. I don't know what it's about temperature gauge. I'm using OEM parts on it, but they're all off a little bit, and you can rebuild the back of these gauges. There's a little, I don't know what the hell they call them right now, but you can pull them off. There's a diode that you pull off, then you replace it, and you can do that. If I end up replacing them, I'm going to go ahead and buy new needles, or go ahead and paint them where they're a little bit more orange, and these are all faded out. Hopefully I can buy new ones, because I think there's a light behind there that illuminates these needles better. But first I've got to get this speedometer and tach working right. But luckily there's a phone app for a speedometer, so I stick it in my cup holder and turn it on, make sure I don't get popped for speeding. But that was disappointing. Now I got a spare VSS for these that I can put in my rescue box. I'm going to clean it and stick it in the AC Delco box and put it in there, because it's only got like a 6mm bolt or something like that. Real small, easy to get to. I just I take a wire brush, since it's coming out of the transmission. I take a wire brush, clean it, and then I take brake clean and squirt it off where it's totally clean all the way around. I don't want any sand falling into that transmission when I replace it. All right. Also, I've got a low efficiency cat code coming on now. It's got to the point where it's throwing and tripping a lot, but I got a little sneaky thing that you can use, but I'm not going to say it out loud because you don't know who's listening, but I've got a way to stop that. I did it on my Suburban and it worked perfect. So I am going to do that. I've got to go get something and put it in a special place. I'm not going to say anything. And with that gas that was bad in it, I've got a fuel filter I've had, but we've run about 3 tanks of gas through this thing. So I'm going to go ahead and drop that fuel filter in case there was any nastiness in there. And the crazy thing about this truck, it gets great gas mileage. I mean, it is stupid good gas mileage. I was surprised. I do have to rotate and balance the tires. The front tires are a little bit, I can tell they're out of balance. So I've got to take that in town, but I'll do that. I'll have them rotate it and balance and do a front end inspection so they can kind of diagnose it and I can do the work myself. All right, well, until I see y'all next time, y'all have a good one.